Mic test. Hello and welcome to another live stream. Today I'm going to be finishing up the Dodkong sculpt. So let's get started. Oh, I finally have a mic this time too, so hopefully it doesn't sound as quiet and distorted. Alright. So the last thing I did was I started going over to the face and I added these little scratches. It really looks like a beard and I don't like that, so I'm going to undo it and then I'm trying to go back with the damn standard brush and clean it up a little bit. I'm also going to make sure that my undo history isn't that long. Yeah, it's at 10,000 right now. That's kind of ridiculous. That explains why the file size was so big. Much better. All right. This is one of those details that I know is not going to show up on most models clearly, but if anyone prints it large enough for it to, I'll make sure it looks good. What does an ear look like? That makes some sense. I think there's a flap right there. There we go. Back to his face lines. I'm going to clean it up with a pinch brush. And then hopefully when I Dynamesh this, it doesn't just disappear the whole thing. There we go. I think this looks better, more like wrinkles as opposed to a beard. Oh, that is good future reference for me to know. That is a pretty decent way to do a beard. What I did was I had Damn Standard with the Alpha 28. My mesh is getting a little bit stretched right there, so I'll go ahead and Dynamesh and hopefully not lose all the detail. Not bad. Thank you. I like it so far. It's not very pretty. My first model that I have teeth in. I want to make sure I start doing more of these too, because there's so much expression you can do with the mouth. I just realized that he is eyebrowless. I'm not sure if I'm going to fix that, actually. I think it's very fitting. I give him a really distinct brow bone instead. Let's see. What would eyebrows look like on this guy? Oh, it looks ridiculous. Let's see. What if I go and play build up and just kind of... And then bring this in, make him look angrier. That's actually not too bad. Maybe I will get some eyebrows. Another one of those things that you're not going to see on a print. You're just not. But I want it to be there anyway. Go ahead and go back through here with the damn standard brush after dynameshing. That way the mesh is receptive to adding more detail. Holding down Alt with damn standard will give you these clean lines right here. I can't believe I got this far and completely forgot about eyebrows. That's kind of a habit of mine when I used to draw characters too. They'd all look so alien, I could just never figure out why. I'd show a friend of mine, like, what's wrong with this? And they were like, it just seems so obvious to them. Thank you very well. It's funny, I actually used to have a close friend named Dustin Smith, and I totally thought you were him for a second, and it really weirded me out because I hadn't talked to him in years. We went to college together. All right, I like that. It's been funky going on with the lip here, so I'm going to try and clean that up really quick. Add some wrinkling there, but not too much, so I don't want to look like a rabid dog. There we are. All right. That's about as much detail as I want to put into the face. That's actually going to end up showing up in the future. That's okay. I want to start paying more attention to the clothing here. I'm probably not going to add any clothing folds to this main part of the dress. I don't know, robe, there we go. Robe is what I was looking for there. Until later, because I want to make sure it's not so symmetrical. That's my biggest problem with this model so far. I'm keeping it in symmetry for as long as possible because it's just the most efficient thing for me to do. I'm glad you feel recognized. I know there's about a 10-second delay from what you're seeing and what actually happening. So if you ask me questions, it takes me 10 seconds to respond. That would be the reason. So I'm adding these tatters. I want them to be as thick as possible while still looking thin, if that makes any sense. Because if I sculpt this like a truly tattered robe, it's not going to show up. It's going to be too fine. There we go. I want to make sure that this front and back piece aren't symmetrical. I think that'd look kind of weird. I'm going to dynamesh this and then go back over it with one of my favorite alphas that I overuse, Alpha 58. Very nice. Clean it up with a pinch brush. So you can see that the mesh is really distorted right here. This is a possible source of mesh errors. They always clean up in mesh mixer. Oh, that word is not for me. Anyway, mesh mixer. But I try not to distort or mess up the mesh too much. I don't want to be too dirty. That's something that I do regret with my undead wyvern, like attack pose. I have this like crumbling castle around it, and it's really just too messy of a crumble, I guess. My resin printer handled it fine, surprisingly, but if I could go back, I'd be a little more chill on that. Ooh, that's looking nice. I like that. A lot of my models have a very similar belt going on here where it kind of like peaks up in the center. So I'm just trying my best to not duplicate the same thing. All right, so looking at this and looking at the original concept art, I think he's pretty close for posing. I'm gonna go through and touch up his fingers. So this is my biggest issue with having a reference picture in the background. You'll get this transparent effect. You can actually fix that by going to draw, I believe it is. Yeah. And then fill mode. So I can go to 2 on the fill mode and then I don't have to worry about that anymore. But of course, usually I'm like 3 hours into a model until it annoys me enough times that I actually change it. The thumb is the number one thing that usually ends up failing on the print for me because I don't connect it to any other part. So what I'll do is I'll go onto the inside of the hand here and fatten this part up. On a normal hand, obviously, it would never be that thick. I can get away with it a little easier on this just because it is a creature. People don't look at the anatomy as harshly. And my focus never is like true anatomy, it's what looks right. There are some things that even when they're actually correct, they don't look super nice. Like I don't know, elbows, knees. These just aren't aesthetic parts of the body. So sometimes I'll kind of tweak them, make them look a little more unrealistic, so they look more the way that I want them to, or it fits better with the model. I'm not really saying that so much as a recommendation, just suppose it's something that I do. I really like the claws he has going on there, but I know that'd be difficult to 3D print. The hand I have right now looks very fat and inflated. I want it a little thinner, so I'll probably make this a little more concave right here, and then thicken it up on the other side. So it's going to have the appearance of being very delicate and thin, but it'll still be printable. There we are. Let's move this out just a little bit. I want these to touch in a few more places. The fingertips here are much too thin. So I'll make them really thick and bulbous with the inflate brush and then go back over with the pinch brush to clean it up. The problem with that though is once the fingers are connected, I'll need to mask each one individually to get the effect I'm going for. It's not really a big deal, it's just something that takes a little more time. All right, that looks about how I want it to. I'm going to make the bandage here a little bit more clear. Oops. I want to decrease the focal shift. Yes, I'm going to decrease it, and that will make it the texture more clear. What I'm doing there by adjusting the focal shift is adjusting the fall off of the brush. Oops, I did not mean to dye mesh there. The flow of these bandages isn't terribly logical, but it's good enough for what I'm doing here. I really doubt someone's going to print this and be like, oh, I hate this model because of this bandage overlaps weirdly. So that's something, kind of like a tip to my fellow modelers out there. It's like, don't get too caught up on the details. Cut yourself some slack. Just make sure it looks good as a whole. Defining the arms a little bit better right here. I'm struggling with this a little bit on how to define them because they're just so ridiculously long and monstrous. I want him to look thin and emaciated, but that's not the easiest thing to print. It's easier to design like big, brutish characters. They print nicely. I've always been a huge fan of Duncan Lucas Minotaurs because since they're all big and brute-like, they're meant to be printed bigger, so the detail already shows up better. And just a little bit easier to design for. It's funny that I mentioned that because I feel like not everything, but the majority of the things that I sculpt are just delicate, thin elements. I make a video about all the things I consider when I'm designing, and it's funny because I go against pretty much all of my own rules. Rules is kind of like a firm word for that, but you can watch the video to see what I'm talking about. I'm going to render this really quick. I want to make sure that the shadows play with the brow bone and the eye like I'm intending to. Okay, good. I was worried that the brow bone was coming out too far, and if it was, his entire eye would appear black. I'm still not thrilled with this weird cowl he has here. I'm just like really very non-committal with this part of the model. Hello, Meet the Pyro. That is very funny. Um, Good comment. And thanks for joining. I think it's funny whenever I don't announce that I'm starting a live stream, I feel like the most people tune in, which is funny. I mean, I planned this entire week of live streaming, so I guess that's somewhat of a heads up, but I just can't decide what I want to do with this. This little strip right here looks like hair, and I'm not a fan of it, so let's just push it back. I'm going to inflate this and then give this headpiece a more of a tattered appearance. I think it's going to bring the design together a little bit better. This is one of those things that I will just like fixate and fuss over. It's funny because it's really not. I don't want to say it's not an important part of the design, but pretty much it's affecting it very little. The biggest selling points of a design for most humanoid characters is the face and the general silhouette. So that being said, I'll frequently zoom out like this, and I think the key is V on the keyboard. Yep, here we go. So by pressing V and then pressing F to zoom out, you can actually look around and see how believable the model is from the side. So I have this really ridiculous jutting jawline, which I was hoping for. It's clear that he has hunched shoulders. So it's always a good step to like check your silhouette. 1 in the morning. Man, where are you at? Let's see, what time is it here? It is 3:52. I have a habit of that too. I'll stay up to like 2 in the morning, like just having someone's live stream going. But I'm also like such a scaredy cat. I don't know what's with me. Like once the sun goes down, everything can spook me very easily. So this would probably be too much for me to watch at night. I'm just such a baby. I like that. I don't like how much of the edges of this bows out though. It looks kind of like a pancake. That's better. Part of me wants to pull this like way down his face like this and just make it look ridiculous. Oh yeah, no, that is not a smart move. There we go. Again, when I mentioned earlier, this is one of those things I'll just fixate on. It's not even a strong design point. I just eh. Ooh, Belgium. I feel like the only comment anyone ever makes about Belgium is their waffles. I remember reading something that they actually weren't from there or something like that. I hope to travel more too. The only place I've been to outside the United States is the Philippines. And that was just this last winter, actually. I was there for a couple of weeks on a scuba diving trip. That's one of those things I was super lucky. My dad always wanted to scuba dive when he was a kid. And when he got older and had the money to do it and got certified, I got certified too. I feel pretty lucky about that. I don't think everyone's parents happen to be into scuba diving. All right, I'm digging his weird bald spot on his head there. I like it. The cloth right here isn't really interacting in a way that makes any sense though. So I'm going to make sure it does. I have some really nice cloth brushes at the bottom here. I think I got it from like badking.org. Later when I upload this live stream, I'll probably find the link to that. I think the guy has a very similar business model to where I do, to where all of his brushes and stuff are free, and he goes completely based off donations. So I recommend giving him $1 or something. I feel like a hypocrite because I did not give him any money, even though I use his brushes. I probably should do that after the stream. Oh, thank you so much for the compliment. And I'm confident you can model a cube. I promise. I mean, part of the reason I say that is because you can go to append. Damn. Wow. Glitching. Cute. That easy. And honestly, hard surface models are really tough to do. So I wouldn't blame you. Yeah, it sounds like Belgium's the best. Chocolate, beer, fries, and waffles. I mean, really, what more could you want? I gotta say, I really do fit the college student stereotype. That's about my diet, except for the beer part. I just don't drink. It was much more exciting in high school, and I'm like, oh, cool, I'm 21, I'm gonna drink, and I just didn't care for it. I really just prefer like apple cider. Though it's funny, the girl at my local grocery store isn't like the sharpest, and she thinks that apple cider, all of it has alcohol in it. So I still get carded, which is kind of nice. I don't know, I can feel like an adult, like I'm buying something that I don't know, couldn't otherwise. All right, I'm gonna finally do some sort of detail work with the robes here. Oh, making shapes by cutting cues from one another. Yeah, I get what you mean. Like you can like overlap shapes and then cut some of them out. It's actually kind of hard to do. I think the first things I ever started designing were like these cute little cat beans. That's fair. You gotta be proud. You're going to be your capital. You gotta have something. Hmm. I want to add more stuff to the belt here. I really like how in the concept art there's these little sharp things hanging off, like these little stars. So I want to add something kind of like that. I'm pretty sure that actually is, yeah, these little sharp things. That seems like less work. I'm just going to take that, modify a little bit. Go to Dynamesh, add polish to it. There we go. Symmetry. Oops. I'm not sure why that's happening right now. Why is that zooming away? Symmetry on. Oh, duh. That's my thing. I mean, alcohol's fermented, so it is technically rotten. I just never understood the appeal of it. But I have to say, I went out with some friends last weekend, and one of them got this like strawberry daiquiri thing, and it was just a slushy. It was so good. There was like no alcohol in it, so I can get behind that. Okay, so Dustin, you mentioned you tried Blender. I tried Blender too, and I hated it. So there might be hope for you yet. I just, I remember I spent an entire week following that YouTube channel, the Blender Guru, and he's a really cool guy. But man, I just could not figure it out. I just sucked at it. I just recently got into Ping Mini. Super fun. I was really excited because I painted this wolf the other like this weekend, and I added it to my Etsy shop, and someone bought it today. And I don't know, it just made me feel super happy that someone like I don't know saw value in something that I made with my own hands, which is funny because I know I'm sculpting right now with my hands, but I don't know. It feels more personal when you're painting it. Oh, those emotes are totally scary. Yeah, I don't like them. I'm not even sure what I'm doing right now, but whatever it is, I like it. I'm gonna up the resolution. There we go. If I was really feeling dedicated, I'd add some chains right here, but chains just take forever. Unlike the bandages here, the way they overlap doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. When you're doing chains and stuff, if they don't overlap in a way that makes sense, you can really tell and it just doesn't look very good. I'm going to duplicate this and kind of just move it around the model and see how that looks. A lot of times I'm doing stuff like this and I kind of just like experiment with shapes, literally. I'll learn how to model different things. Like right now, this is kind of looking like spider webs to me. Either way, I think it fits in the model, so I'm gonna go with it. I'm also glad I'm finally adding some like asymmetrical elements to this model too. It definitely needs it. Yeah, I like that. This little collection here looks interesting. I'm going to merge them all together and then distort them all together. Duplicate this. Just start adding more of this. Yeah, it looks pretty odd. I like it. I want to make sure that the clothing and all the different elements of the model are still overlapping in a way that makes sense. Yeah, add one more segment of these a bit lower. And this is what I mean that when you're modeling, just like having fun with it. I definitely didn't plan these weird shapes by any means, but I think they add nicely to the model. Adding some damn sander there to give this a little more shape. Okay, so now that I'm connecting this here, it's kind of looking like some sort of chain, some really weird ornament hanging from his belt, which is good. I wanted something like that. I definitely didn't plan on it looking like this, but I'm happy with it. Want this to connect as well. I kind of like the spider web-like effect. There we go. Let me go back in through here with the damn standard brush with Alt to build up this, whatever this shape is right here. Kind of looks like a shark tooth right now, actually. There we go. I really like that. I'm going to merge all of these weird shapes together, duplicate it, and put it somewhere else. I'm gonna add this to his shoulder or something. Even though you're not going to see most of it because it's covered with another cloth, that's fine. This is one of those ways I really recommend like reusing elements throughout your models. Pretty much just doing as least amount of work as possible for the best effort or best end result, better said. It's also very important that I don't have any of this that's like hanging off of the model. I want to make sure that it is actually in contact. Otherwise, it is not going to print. Or if it does, it's going to print very poorly. When I was first designing and stuff, I actually didn't consider a lot of these things, and I just got lucky, honestly. There's no other way to put it than that. All right, I like how that's breaking up the symmetry there. Going to add another one. This is not wanting to select for some reason. Ooh, I haven't saved since I started. Oof. There we go. That could have been bad. I'll save. I don't want to make the bottom of this robe too messy because I haven't gone through and detailed that yet. Oh yeah, I've heard great things about the Ender 3. But yeah, spending all your money on machines and models, I totally get that. I definitely got pulled into this, and that's what I do now. I've never actually really worked with an Ender 3. I had a Prusa MK2S. It worked fine. I know it's like a higher end machine, but I think I just got unlucky. I had some of my parts that were deformed, so I had to reprint them, and it just kind of a mess. Yeah, there are so many good Kickstarters out there, but I think it's, I don't know, I haven't done one like that. I mean, models are free anyway. I just think it's really odd to use Kickstarter like a storefront, if that makes sense. And that's how I see a lot of them using it, which I'm pretty sure isn't the point. Like, there should be a risk in it or something. That being said, I do think a lot of Kickstarters are really fantastic. I'm just surprised it's not just like a straight up storefront. I think I have a thing that bundle on like a website or something. Adding a bit more texturing here, and I'm going to merge them all together and begin posing. Still not totally satisfied with the belt here. Oh, I actually like that. Never mind. That's a really good point. That Kickstarter is just purely to help people get to their end goal. All right. I like this quite a bit. I'm going to save it. I'm surprised. Only two. And then for me, I haven't pledged to any, which surprises me. I was so close to going all in for the Lost Dragons Kickstarter. But they're like, I am a modeler. So to me, it feels really weird to buy someone else's models. I'm like, I should just make it myself. Yeah, there is so much free stuff out there now, and that's part of the reason why I give my models away for free. Like I made a video chatting about it, but another reason I don't think I covered in there is because so many of them are releasing their stuff for free anyway, and they're great. I don't think I can really compete by putting a paywall in front of mine anyway, even if I wanted to. I'm just so grateful for having any support on Patreon because then I'm not so stressed out about it. And I get you, I'm a student as well, and I am so broke. It's just how it is. I graduate this semester though, so I'm really excited about that. People always tease me because I'm super broke right now, and but I'm getting a major or a degree in mechanical engineering. So if I just got any job in engineering, I'd be fine. But I really just want to keep making models and interacting with people like yourself. I mean, straight up why I like doing this so much. So I'm going to make sure that I put a tube in there of some sort so I dynamesh this together, then the cloak isn't so thin. Oh, that's right. I remember you left a really nice comment and you mentioned that. I really appreciate that. And it works out so much better this way too, having my stuff for free because I get more publicity and whatnot. I feel so disingenuous just advertising my stuff everywhere. Like, if I do share it, it's because I genuinely really like it. It's not with the motive of making money, and that's just, I think people, it comes across more genuine too, and just win win for everyone. There we go. I just put a cylinder in there, and now I merge this all together. It is going to be a solid object. Nope, I think ZBrush is crashing. If you could not, that would be great. This is such a weird angle to crash at, too. I can't do anything with this. Come on, ZBrush. Well, looks like this is where I'm at. That's so weird. I've never had this happen to where it freezes to the point where I can't do anything. All right, I'm gonna try and close it. Save changes. Yes, that's an option. Oh yeah. I'm glad that you think so. And I agree too. I'd be so broke if I supported everyone that I wanted to. I think I support only two people right now. Miguel, because he does something very similar to what I do, or better said, I do something very similar to what he does. And a friend of mine who just got started. All right, back up and running. I'm going to dynamesh this all together, keeping an eye that I'm not losing too much resolution and I don't have any mesh errors happening. And by that, I'm talking about like little small holes that will form and stuff like that. So what I'm doing here is I'm inflating these different layers and then dye-meshing all together so it's one object. It's taking a really long time just because I'm really high resolution right now. I extra want to make sure that all of this fits together in one piece or one object because if not, it's going to make it a nightmare to 3D print. I'm gonna try and reduce the resolution, see if I can get away with that. Still looks pretty good. Give me a little bit of trouble right here, but that's okay. I know, I'm so rude. All right, so these really weird artifacts that are forming here, that is purely from a thin mesh combining with something else. That's actually a good sign for me. That means that this is all one object now. If I were to cut this, it would be solid. I want to make sure I inflate this really quick. It's gonna look a little silly initially, but then I'll go back and clean it up. I'm pretty certain there is a better way to do this. But this didn't take me very long, so I don't have a huge incentive to find a better or more correct way to do it. There we go. And then any errors that happened I wasn't able to catch will naturally fix themselves when I put a base on this. There we go. That looks just better being a little bit thicker anyway. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that he's kind of hunched over like this image. I really liked that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to save really quick. Or not so quick. Turn off. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to keep symmetry on for right now, just to mask this out more efficiently. Now I'm going to start to hunch him over. I'm going to blur the mask that way so when I do move him around, it's not this really harsh line. There we go. It's a bit softer, looks better. Pressing W to bring up 3D Gizmo, holding Alt and then dragging in the direction I want. Now with this, it's always a good idea to just move the 3D Gizmo wherever a joint would actually be. It'll cause it to move a lot more naturally. Looks good. All right, and now I'm going to turn off symmetry and start posing his arms. I'm going to do a pose pretty similar to the concept art I have right there, just because I really like it. I feel like it really portrays a creature or character well. Try that again. Making sure his joints line up in some way that makes sense. Whenever you pose a character, there is going to be deformations to the mesh. It's just kind of unavoidable, or at least in ZBrush. I know there's other programs out there that do a better job, but I'm not really interested in learning another program right now. So this is what I got. So I want to avoid that. See how it's like a perfectly horizontal? I'm gonna bend that up a little bit more so it doesn't look so hard to print. I'm gonna have his arm pointing towards him. might curl up his hands later, just add to the creepiness. His hands are already fairly curled, but I want to make sure I exaggerate that, give them a little bit more motion. I don't want to blur this too much right here, this mask, because your fingers do move pretty in line with the bones there. I mean, there's not a whole lot of squish. Ooh, that's not what I wanted. That's better. Having a hard time seeing what I want to. I could really easily fix this by just selecting the area I want, but I think it's going to take longer than I need it to. I can just do that and it's fixed. Oops. Now on the plus side here, if his hands get really deformed, it's actually not a bad thing because he's already supposed to look a little deformed. Definitely don't like how square this looks right here, so I'm going to fix that right now just because it's bothering me enough that I don't want to pose the rest of the model. Oh, just covering that up with some bandages. I wonder what the story behind that is, why he's all bandaged up like this. Kind of has this mummy-like clothing going on. That looks gross. That part of his hand just doesn't make sense. A big part of it is because this right here is so stiff, so I'm going to bend that and it's going to help this look more normal. Oops, looks like I grabbed something over here and didn't notice. Whenever you're moving stuff like this, it's always nice to really take time with your mesh and make it look as good as, or not your mesh, your mask. Make it look as good as possible because it'll just save you how much time you need when cleaning it up. There we go. I need to move this down a little bit more just so this fits in a way that makes any sense. I don't quite want his hands to be in a fist. I want to make sure that they are kind of just like a weird, creepy curl that I'm going for here. So I definitely shouldn't have masked the thumb as well. That's okay. I'll just put it back. Can you tell that hands are not my strong suit? Going to just make this knuckle right here really defined. It's actually not where the knuckle would be. That's wrong. It'd be more like here. So that's partly why this is looking so weird as well, probably. Really exaggerate the knuckles there to see if this makes sense. It does. I feel the longer I mess with this, the worse it's looking. So I'm going to hide behind a texture. Being totally honest with that. Awesome. Looks better. Don't do what I do. Learn how to sculpt hands. I do like how weirdly bony that sun looks. I want to make sure that his arms don't look too thick at any point because I want to make sure he looks thin and that stays consistent. Tans are just obnoxious. Man, I never really learned how to draw them when I use a paper and pen, and I regret it. They're really just not aesthetic things. If you look at them, oh man, we're just used to seeing them, obviously, but not my favorite thing. All right, so that looks weird. You can tell that his arm is distorted, and that's good because I want to make sure it doesn't look good, if that makes any sense. It's funny, because part of me is like, oh no, his arm looks terrible. I'm like, oh wait, that's right, it's the point. I made his arms like 40% longer than they should be. So if I can, I would like to keep this hand right here kind of dead when I pose it up. I think that just looked odd, and I think that's good for this. I'm going to rotate this up a little bit. Almost like he's asking for something or telling you to give him something. Feet are even more weird. But no one looks at feet. Like, feet are pretty universally ignored. So I can get away with not being able to sculpt feet. That's so weird. I have a habit of trying to make everything look elegant when it's posed, and I know that he's just not gonna look like that. He's gonna look awkward, and I'm fighting it. Yeah, probably. Can you imagine if someone, I don't know, you're being sculpted? I feel like that'd be so painful. Alright, that looks weird in a bad way. So I'm going to move this arm. I like this, but this needs to move. There we go. That's kind of more like the concept art, and I do like that. I mean, that looks weird right now, but it's closer to the idea that I want. I kind of want to touch his body, but that's not going to be possible. Oof, that is a mess. See, this is why you should take care of your mess. Otherwise, you get stuff like that. I think weird is the best way to be. I feel like it's an insult to be like, oh, you're normal, you know? It's another way of politely saying, like, oh, you're boring. That's how I've always heard it anyway. They're the Android ones, is why. I think the cat's kind of cute. I don't mind the cat. That's probably just because I really like cats, so I'm partial. I think this looks so odd because his hands are so pinched together. Even though I'm aware of that, I could fix it, but the thing is, it's going to end up looking It might look more elegant, which I would like, but it'd be really hard to print. So I'm just going to curl these up a little bit as well. Yeah, I can't argue with that. I could see, yeah, normal being like new deviant. This looks weird, and I know it. I'm just gonna keep playing with this. If I rotate his wrist, he looks broken. That's so awkward. I do think that looks a little bit better though. I want to bring this whole arm closer to his body though. That's better. Yep, that looks really elongated and weird, which is what I'm going for, so. Bring his shoulders up. Make them a bit larger. It's probably gonna start making him look really deformed, but again, that's kind of like the point of this character. He's kind of humanoid. By kind of humanoid, I mean very humanoid. There we go. I like that. I want to bring his chest in a little bit more, make him look a bit more thin, emaciated. Bring out where his pelvic bone would point out. All right, I always hate posing legs when there is a robe or a dress, so I'm just gonna avoid it for right now and pose his head instead. I really want to add a dramatic like side tilt to it, so it looks really creepy. There we go. That was horrifying. I love it. Oh god, that is so gross. I absolutely love that. Let's see, is perspective on? Yeah. Oh, he looks ridiculous. Like in a good way. I do like this so far, but I mean it's kind of funny. I definitely don't think he looks very intimidating. Okay, this shoulder looks good. This one looks broken. What is going on? That's better. All right, this is weird. I'm starting to actually really like this arm pushed back. It's kind of like a pro lazy artist tip. You don't like something, just leave it there long enough. Your eyes will adjust. You'll end up liking it. But on a more serious note, that's why it's really important that whenever you're creating something, to look away from it and come back with fresh eyes. Instead of moving his legs under here, because I don't want to, I'm going to make it so he's bending or crouching. His knees should be about there. I think. It's because anatomy is so funky anyway. I'm just like, what? How am I supposed to bend him? Let's see. That could work if I blur it enough. So you can hold control and tap on your mask to blur it. I've noticed it takes forever. For some reason, go into the masking tab under the subtool palette and hit blur. I feel like it happens a lot more quickly. That might very well just be in my head. I'll make sure that the fabric is still interacting somewhat naturally. I definitely, you just gotta let it yourself adjust to it and figure if you like it or not. Yeah, I've never liked when people ask me stuff like, "Oh, what do you think of this?" Like as soon as I see it, I'm like, I gotta like form my opinion on it first. I'm really good at tripping up over my words. Like even in this live stream, I'll just forget what I'm trying to say, and instead of not saying anything, I'll just start making noises, like not even real words. Super bad habit of mine. You would think I have a stutter. I don't. I just talk weird. Part of that's because whatever I'm saying, I'm actually like 5 to 10 words ahead of what I'm saying at that moment. Not the greatest combination. All right, that looks pretty nice. Okay. Again, this is too symmetrical, so I'm gonna try and pull some of these tatters at different lengths. We'll see how well this goes. It's not going well. Maybe I'll just shorten some of them. That's a good idea. There we go. I'll just draw more on. Feather it out with this clay buildup brush. Yes, much better. Oh, I really like that. I've always felt lucky about that. I've never been too shy about sharing my work because even though I love feedback and hearing like things I could change or improve, when it comes down to it, anything that I post or share, I really like. So if someone's like, "This is terrible. You should stop what you're doing," I'll be like, "Eh, I like it," and that's at the end of the day, that's what matters the most. You can always tell if an artist posts their work and doesn't actually like it. It just, I don't know, it's something that comes across in the piece. Ooh, I like it. Yeah, no, his row is definitely going to be tattered. As of right now, it's not. I plan to go over it with this alpha and make it. Oh, that's wrong. Like that. I mean, that's a really bad example, but that is definitely going to happen. I'm just going to work out the movement of it first, and then I'm going to go in and do that. All right, good. This curve here is probably a little too dramatic for it to be physically possible, but I do like the line that it draws, so I'm going to exaggerate it. I'm going to go back in and look at the silhouette here and see if the silhouette makes sense. So what's striking me the most that is kind of weird is how straight his hips are under him. That looks really good. That's also very clear. So silhouette looks pretty nice. The biggest issue just being how straight up and down his legs are. But I kind of like how weirdly stiff it is. Okay, when you say like seeing wear around the joints, do you mean like parts kind of like right here, would be more torn up because I'm interested in incorporating that. I don't think there'd be a whole lot of wear in that. Oops. Oh, that's a mistake. There we go. I can't remember what I was saying. I love this cloth brush. It's just such a quick, cheap. So I'm doing all the clothing folds first here, and then moving back over it and distressing it. I also should save. It's been way too long. That is such a bad habit of mine. I'll like almost finish the entire model in one setting and not save once. Like live on the edge, I guess. Oh, okay. That would be interesting. Being totally upfront, I'm not sure if I'm good enough of a modeler to do that in a way that makes sense, but it's not a bad idea to try. Just have a straight up hole, like right here. Hmm. That is such a good idea. How am I going to communicate a tear? Let's see. As you can see his knee poking a little bit. Okay. Even though I said I wasn't going to, I need to move one of these legs at least a little bit. This is looking too stiff and too weird. Now, I like your suggestion a lot, Dustin. I think I'm going to keep that in mind while I'm modeling this and try and think of a way that I can incorporate that. Oof, there's a lot of distortion there. I definitely don't want that. Trying to soften up that line as much as I can before I move it. This is one of those times it's really nice to have a tablet that's pressure sensitive. There we go. That's a good thing. I want to make sure his feet are on the same plane, more or less. There we go. I think this area looks kind of odd. Probably his legs are so pinched together. That's what's making that look so weird. I like his silhouette a lot more from every angle but the front, actually. What I can try and do is undo some of this, and I can move his leg out right here. Probably should have decided that earlier. It still looks kind of odd. It's better though. I think what I had was better. So I definitely want a crease that's that distinct right there. I like the general idea, but cloth wouldn't operate in that way. It'd kind of fall off of the top of his thigh. That looks a little more natural. That crease right there makes a lot of sense. And then from under his knee, it kind of falls in a straight line. Smooth out some of this distortion. This line here can be smoothed out using trim dynamic. I like there's kind of a curve happening here due to the motion, so I want to exaggerate that. Oops. Not that much though. There we go. Looks pretty good. It's amazing how much of a minor adjustment will really affect the model. So try to keep that in mind. I like how destroyed that front piece looks now. Usually I'd be upset because that's mostly caused by the distortion of posing, but in this case, it worked out nicely. Another reason why I don't care for hard modeling. By that, I mean like hard surfaces, like tanks, vehicles, weapons, that kind of stuff. There we go. I think you can see his body shape pretty clearly through his robe, which is very important. Really helps it be more convincing. Definitely modeled robes before when I was first starting off. It looked like there was nothing in them, and it just looked really weird. It's the wrong brush. There we go. Keep grabbing the wrong brush. There we go. That crease doesn't make any sense. It would kind of grab on the back of his right thigh. Oh, thank you so much. I really try and put a lot of thought into how the clothing folds work, mainly because I don't really understand them super well. All right. Looks pretty nice overall. Front silhouette still isn't my favorite. Does that look good? Yeah, thanks for joining. Have a good night. Or good rest, I guess. So I was looking through the silhouette. I noticed that this one piece is not touching anything. That would be very difficult to print. Another good reason to look at the silhouette of your model. Yep. And since it was made in symmetry, that means it's the same issue as on the other side. No biggie, pretty easy to fix. All right. Still some pretty significant distortion in spots. That's okay. It's not too hard to fix. Hello, and thanks for the compliment. Always good to see you, Zaxis. I think I've redrawn these bandages in different parts of this model like 10 times. I really need to stop doing it and just do it once at the end. I said that, but I'm not going to. They're not supposed to look clean or symmetrical anyway, so I'm just gonna say it's fine. There we go. Nice. Oh, he's so gross looking. I love it. I think this wouldn't be too bad to print. As long as his hand gets really well supported, the rest of it will pretty much take care of itself. Granted, I have a resin printer and I'm very spoiled by that, so I think my perspective of what cannot be printed is all skewed. All right, let's start getting this a little bit more tattered and then hopefully adding some holes that you recommended, Dustin. Really good idea. I'm just trying to think of what would make the most sense. Oops. I'll probably use Dam Standard for this with Alpha 58. Let's see. This will take some playing with to get something that I really like. I can work with that and then use a pinch brush to clean up the edges here. My only issue with that is there isn't a whole lot of fray. So instead of doing big cracks, I should maybe try doing smaller ones. That'd make a little bit more sense. Because being tattered is a lot different than just being shredded in one spot. Let's turn down the intensity and let's see if I can just draw, and that's much better. That makes a lot more sense. Oh, saving. I swear my neighbors have chickens. Like, I know I sound ridiculous. I live in an apartment complex, but I swear. They have really weird kids. You guys probably can't hear that over my mic, but I swear I hear chickens. I'm really glad that the fold's still held up right here, more or less. This is really coming to life just with this bit of detail work here at the tatters. I used to hide behind detail work. My general form looked really bad, and then you add enough details to anything and it looks decent. But it's always like there's something that's off about it. You can never quite pinpoint why. Usually because something about the general shape of it's off. That's his weird little bald head. I'll add some scratches on there. He looks so unfriendly. Excellent. All right, let's figure out how to model a hole. I want to say, if I could just mask, if I could make that a mask and invert it, it would work really well, I think. Instead, I'll just, let's see how this goes. This is just a test. I think that makes sense. Oh yeah. Hello. Almost done with my live stream. Yeah. Yeah. Look how gross he looks.
Ew, very gross.
Right?
It's a gross boy.
He has a weird little bald head. I don't know why. I was like, I'm gonna give him this little cowl and I'm not gonna cover his bald spot. It's just gonna be exposed. I think it looks so ridiculous. I love it.
You got some friends while you're doing this?
Oh yeah, I have some people watching right now.
That's cool.
They've been chatting with me.
That's so cool.
One guy had a good recommendation of like adding like holes like on his knee like for wear and tear, and I can't figure out how to model the tear. So I've been like just messing with that for a couple minutes. I think this looks okay, but it's not quite like meh. Yeah, if you don't, it's freezing.
Sweet.
Tried using the move brush there. Didn't work super well. So I'm going to go back with the alpha and try that out. He left the room, but he would find that very funny. Yeah, one of them commented saying, mostly dudes, Mr. Steal Your Girl. Yeah, my boyfriend's used to it. I'm a mechanical engineering major, so there's no girls in my major pretty much at all. I think in a class of 50, there's like 2. So I'm kind of adding like these like little slashy tears right here. I think it looks okay. I can't tell if it looks better without it. See if make it harder edges. It looks like, not crazy about it. You're funny. think it looked best at that point when I first did it. I'm thinking way too hard about this. Forget it. That's going to be a different side project for me to figure out how to do. Indicate there's a knee right there. There's another knee here, question mark? Yes. Nope, I don't like that either. All right, I think he's about done. I'm gonna start looking for major issues like that. I want to do a custom base for this as well, but I might get to that tomorrow instead. Going to turn off perspective and then trim the bottom of this just to make sure it's all in the same plane. Cut his feet a little bit. All right. Mask it first. Move it down a little bit. And now I'm going to cut that. Actually, I hope that's flat. I didn't check. It wasn't. Wow, that's not what I wanted. That looks ridiculous. What are you doing, ZBrush? I don't like that my draw is still on. I'll get rid of that. There we go. For whatever reason, my hotkeys for that wasn't working. Let's try that again. There we go. I'm not sure why that was so hard for me. Oh, his feet look so bad. Why are feet why are they feet? They just look terrible. Not a foot person. Lines for toes. General suggestion, there were feet there. Oh, I don't like that at all. Alright, now we're back to this. We're gonna try a different solution. That doesn't involve me destroying the feet. Now I can do this. Usually this works. There we go. I was just way overcomplicating this. Just gonna inflate this a bunch. Looks ridiculous. And then cut it. Or it's gonna crash. And it's not gonna work. Come on. For half his live stream, it's just like, I love this. And half of me is being like, don't crash. Why? That was gonna work too. I totally could just put a base on this and not worry about the bottom being perfectly flat or not. It's just a personal pet peeve, I guess. We haven't. It looks like ZBrush is going to crash. Yep. You sure are. Exactly. I was trying to get the trainer's rope on the same plane as his feet, and it just was not happening. And now that it crashed, I'm deciding I don't care. I'm just gonna put a base on it, dynamesh it so it's one object, and just move on. It's been terminated. Yeah, whatever. Oh my god, I hadn't saved for a long time. Son of a bitch. Okay, I'm really gonna hope that the quick save was more recent. Oh no. Sad day. I hadn't even posed them yet then. Oh my god. How am I not saved? Oh, thank god. Yay, ZBrush for auto saving every 10 minutes. I mean, that's a setting I put in there because I do this. Oh my gosh, huge sigh of relief. I know it wasn't that much work. It was only like 10-15 minutes. But it's work that I'm not very good at. I'm not great at posing. It's probably my worst point of modeling. So I really don't enjoy doing it. Being totally upfront, I'm that kind of person who doesn't like things unless I'm good at it. I know it's immature. I don't care. It's just how I am. I just get good at a lot of things and then it works out. Yeah, and screw that. We're just not dealing with that. I am still missing all of the texture I added, but that's okay. I can add that really quickly because I knew exactly how I wanted it. Here, here, there. Not onto his foot because that wouldn't make any sense. Ugh, still gave me a heart attack though. I'm so glad this worked out. It's going to be very sad. If I wasn't designing this to be a miniature, I'd probably go back through and kind of add like points where you could see his ribs. But that's actually a little more tricky. If I were to keep these lines right here, it'd be unclear whether or not he has clothing on right there or if it's a robe or what's going on. So I'm not going to do that just to keep the design not too muddled. That's the biggest thing that separates me from professionals or people that are just generally better than me. Their design work is a lot more clean. It's something that I'm working on. I'm not the kind of person who's like, oh, messy is my style. It's like, no, I'm just not super good yet. But I will be. All right. I think I'm just going to call this done. Because if not, I'm never going to stop working on it. It's kind of how I roll. Let's get a render in here that looks halfway decent. Make it so the shadows here are softer, blur is lower, gamma is lower. That's the general settings I like. Shadows are still a little bit too harsh. I think that's the right slider. It wasn't. There we go. Because you want the shadows to be somewhat blurred, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't interact naturally with the object. I really like that. I'm going to make it add a little bit of the gradient to the background because I just like that. All right. It looks pretty good. I kind of want to, I might add some weird orb to his hand that looks like he's obviously holding something, but it's empty. Not bad. I end up liking this a lot more than I expected to. So there's the final render. Gonna leave it sitting right there for a couple seconds, so all the people that are like me and just click to the very end of the live stream to see the final result, here you go. Thanks everyone who joined me. I super appreciate it. I'll be live streaming again tomorrow, sometime around 11 to 3 p.m. I know it's not a small window, but I'm just being totally straightforward. I have no plan. It's going to be sometime during that window. All right. I hope you guys have a good one. I'll catch you later.